Nou daar bid die mans en hierdie kant die vrouens, maar wat baie mense nie weet nie, is daar onder die tempel is daar tunnels. En ons gaan vandag onder, letterlik diep onder in die tunnels in beweeg. Onder die tempelplein. Die Dam of the Rock is daarbo, ons gaan onder die tempels ingaan, waar die Sanhedrin ook 70 gekies het, wat sit waar die hoofsinagoge is. Hier is nou al so onder die westelike muurtunnels ingaan. Okay. Dankie.
This is our local guy.
How are you? Shalom.
What's going on?
Dion.
Dion?
Yeah.
Nice name. I'm Keith.
Keith.
What's going on?
No, it's all is well.
Good. You guys ready?
Yes, we're ready. Are we ready?
We're doing the Great Bridge, correct? The new tour? Yeah.
Yes, we're.
10:30. Awesome. Okay. Very good. So when you guys are ready, we're going.
Okay, mense, ek hoop julle geniet hierdie voorreg. Die Western Wall Plaza Tunnels. Waar is hy? Ons is nou onder die tempelplein amper.
Okay. Where y'all coming from? Which country?
Well, let's do it. Hier is die Masuza, jy het gesien hy soen hom toe hy ingekom het. Onder die westelike plaza. Shalom.
פותחים שם או אפשר להשתמש בזה?
פה לא הסבירו לי, זה גם במשתנה, אני יודע
ואז יורדים, עולים.
לא, רק לעבור...
עולים שוב.
כן.
פה.
עד הבור רקטר.
כן, עושים את הפתיחה פה, יורדים עולים. אוקיי, חבר'ה. Friends, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. כן, צריך לפתוח את זה. Can come. You might wonder, why am I wearing a funny costume? You probably know, because today's Purim.
Purim.
Today is a holiday. Now here in Jerusalem we celebrate tomorrow. But we get into the spirit of it, nonetheless, because all the rest of Israel. Below it, Herod covered up the mountain, and people are walking down the Western Wall onto the Temple Mount until the year 70 when the Romans come. The Romans don't like the Jews very much, and they kick them out, and they burn everything. Hundreds of thousands slaughtered by the angry Romans. But for some strange reason, they do not completely knock down the Western Wall, and it now becomes a symbol, the last connection the Jews have to their holy temple. 52 years later, the Jews once again rebel against the Romans, the Bar Kokhba rebellion. They're fighting for Jerusalem. Do they win? No, they're quashed by King Hadrian. And now it's no longer Jerusalem, it's Ilia Capitolina here in Syria, Palestina. Right? They name it after the enemies of the Jews, and they make a new rule. Jews cannot live in Jerusalem. But once a year, they make an exception. Jews can come up and pray at their wailing Western Wall. And they pray next year in Jerusalem. Hundreds of years pass. First there was Jupiter, the Roman temple on the site of the temple. Later there's a church. And in 690, the Dome of the Rock Shrine is placed on the site of the temple, which you'll still see today. In the 13th century, the Mamelukes have taken over the Holy Land. The Mamelukes are Muslims. They like to build up, and they build on top of the Western Wall, thus covering up 95% of the wall underground. A small piece remains where Jews will continue to try to pray, at times risking their lives, pray at their piece of the Western Wall. In 1917, the Brits come to town and they want to bring peace, two peoples to live harmoniously side by side. How did that work out? Not so great. And a big controversy erupts over the Western Wall. The Jews would like to pray at the wall. The Arabs do not like it. They don't want Jews praying there. The Brits favor the Arabs. Nonetheless, each year a Jew will sneak down to the Western Wall and blow the ram's horn, the shofar, on Yom Kippur. Whoever blows it gets arrested, beaten, but it's worth it from their perspective because there must be prayer at the Western Wall. But in 1948, there was no prayer at the wall. Israel wins the war, but who takes over the old city? Jordan. And they ban non-Muslim prayer and access to the Western Wall, but a picture goes up of the Western Wall in every Israeli classroom. They are yearning for that day, maybe in 1,000 years, when they shall return to the Western Wall. June of 1967, Israel is attacked by several Arab nations. They would like to finish off the Holocaust. And somehow, Israel wins that war, and on the third day of the Six-Day War, they recapture the Western Wall, the old city. Nowadays, the Western Wall is not much of a wailing wall. It's a singing and dancing wall, especially on Friday night. It's a holy mosh pit out there, and if you're here on Perm, you'll see it's really a lot of fun. I myself got sworn in at the Western Wall. Many soldiers get sworn in at the wall. And in the 70s, Israel starts digging the Western Wall tunnels, underground passageways, which reveal the original Western Wall from 2,000 years ago. Just 5 years ago, this tour opens up where we go under the Chain Street, which was once the bridge, under the bridge. And we are going to be seeing pieces of that Western Wall from 2,000 years ago, along with a few other highlights. Are there any questions so far about anything I've said? How are we doing so far? Not so much a sharp expert, but anything else, welcome to ask. Muslim eras. The Turks took over in 1517.
1517, that's correct.
1917, so they were in charge at that point. In the Turkish era, there was access to the Western Wall, but sometimes it was dangerous for Jews to go to the Western Wall.
So we're underneath the old city.
We are underneath, we are actually under the Muslim quarter right now. Remember, the Muslim quarter was built on top of everything, so everything got buried underground. We're way underground. Now you know what it's like to be 6 feet under. We're like 36 feet under.
I weet nie ek, maar they're asking can they put on flashlights not?
Yeah, it's fine. You can use flashlights.
Ja, as jy wil flitsse aansit om af te
No
kyk.
problemo. Yeah, sure. Yes, you can take pictures, you can take videos. It's all good. You can even put it on YouTube, and I'll be famous
Keith from Brooklyn.
one day. Alright. So, it's a little dark down here. That's on purpose. You see, archaeologists wanted you guys to get a feel for what it's like from their perspective. They don't know what they're gonna find. They just take their shovels and they found 3 highlights for me to show off to you guys down here under these arches again that were built hundreds of years ago. We have this arch which we discovered. Wow, that arch is actually from the Hasmonean era. Remember those guys who battled the Greeks?
The
So,
Maccabean.
the Maccabees, right? The Maccabees originally built their bridge right there. The green that you see is remnant from water, okay? Water from a long, long time ago. Again, the bridge was originally an aqueduct. On the other side was a dam. There's a lot of water flowing around here, around the Western Wall 2,300 years ago. Interestingly, you find many arches in the Hasmonean era, probably for two reasons. First of all, arches are super strong. Voila. Still standing here 2,300 years later. I knew how to build back then, eh? Secondly, according to Jewish law, a Kohen, a priest as we translate it, cannot come into contact with dead people. But according to the oral law, the Mishnah, which I study a lot, so if there's an arch, you're disconnected from the impurity. So you can walk up above and not worry about some arch, some dead guy down below, because you got the arch disconnecting you. And why do we care so much about the priests? Well, the Hasmoneans were priests, priest warriors. So they wanted to come into contact with dead people. It was against the law. Make sense? Got it? A lot of arches around here. By the way, under the Temple Mount of today, the Dome of the Rock, if you could dig underground, you would find it supported by arches. Herod built it in that way, so that way the priests could walk in the area without any concerns. Okay. Now you can't actually dig there because you'll start World War III. Okay, so don't do that. But you're right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. You do what you do, you know. Don't tell them it was me. All right. Number two. These columns date back 2,000 years, and they are from the Herodian era, i.e. the 1st century, right? The same era that Jesus lived here in Jerusalem. That's approximately the Herodian era. These stones, these columns, 2,000 years old. This entire complex looked differently. It was one big building back then. This room, the next room, the next are all one big building. And there was pictures, frescoes, placed up all along these stones. The little holes that we're putting into place. Beautiful frescoes for a beautiful room, which I'm going to be unraveling for you guys in the next little bit, okay? Finally, my highlight, what we found in this room, is this giant square right below our feet. Can anybody guess for 10 points what used to be in this? Very good. You got it. Okay, very good. This is a ritual bath, okay, a mikvah. Now, a mikvah, nowadays, it's pretty popular, you know. Where I lived in the old city of Jerusalem for 12 years. We had two of them, one for the men, one for the women. Women go once a month, those who are practicing Jewish law, before they reunite with their husbands. And men, some of them go before Shabbat, and some of them, like me, go every day as a way to prepare for prayer. That's a custom, okay? And we had two. It was fine. 8,000 Jewish residents, 2 mikvahs. Because not everyone goes to the mikvah, you know? Now, we have discovered dozens, over 100 ritual baths here in the old city, all of them like this one dating to 2,000 years ago. And the question is, why? Why do they need so many ritual baths 2,000 years ago when we're doing fine with our 2 nowadays? What did they have, in other words, that we do not have? The answer is, we have water too. They had a temple. They had a temple. Once you have a temple, certain laws apply. For example, the pilgrimage. 3 times a year, the Torah tells us, Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 22, that every male has to come up to the Temple Mount, bring his sacrifices, and say hi to the Lord. Bring your first fruits. Okay, you have to eat it in Jerusalem. But you can't just go up to the temple according to the Bible. You got to be pure. How to get pure? You immerse your entire body. Okay, don't be shy. And you got to go all in to a pure ritual bath where some of the water comes from a pure source of water, like an ocean or rainwater, etc. So you need a lot of ritual baths because you got thousands and thousands of people who are streaming onto the Temple Mount 2,000 years ago. By the way, the priests, before they had their dinner, their tithes, their meiser, their truma, as the Torah tells us, they had to be pure. So sometimes you just needed to immerse in the ritual bath before you had your dinner if you're a priest. So you need a lot of ritual bath to function in temple times. Okay? Any questions before we go to our next stop? It's a fast tour. Lots of seats. Everyone can walk to here, and then we'll line up along the wall. We'll have enough space for everyone in this way. Some people line up around the back, and that's like the before.
How deep is it down here?
How deep is your love? It's about 10 feet. It's not that. It doesn't go much deeper than that. You guys know the Bee Gees? I'm before you're tired. You guys are still kids, though. Listen to the Bee Gees. Okay, guys, line up along the wall. No. Along the wall. They don't do Bee Gees in South Africa?
Yes.
You guys are really good. You can do the dance. Man, you did that. It's all right. It's okay. You did that.
I can.
Not per yet. All right. Well, get everybody in here.
Yes.
I'm doing my entertainment. Okay, everybody look this way. Okay, we just found this place 5 years ago, believe it or not. Okay, we didn't know about any of this. They put up these brown things. Hope they did a good job, or else you guys are in trouble. And he found these columns that are dated 2,000 years ago. They're called Corinthian columns. Okay, sorry, bro. I'm just playing it up. See? Fancy schmancy on top. And a little hole in the middle with lead. Okay, on the other side it looks the same. They found water on the other side. And check out what it was like 2,000 years ago, guys. Voila. Grab your H2O. Grab some water. You know?
Wow.
Wild and crazy. So this is a water fountain that we discovered 2,000 years ago. The water comes here in a little bin, and then it flows to a drainage area, which you can see right over here. Now, why do you need water fountains 2,000 years ago? That's a great question. Yarden, אני יכול להיכנס לבויום? In order to answer that question, I'm going to go to the next room where there's a little bit more space. Okay? Yalla, come with me. You guys know what Yalla means? Yalla means let's go. But actually, it means God. Like, it's Arabic for God. Yalla. Israelis use Arabic slang a lot. Like, half of our cool words are formerly Arabic words. Fun fact.
We say obstacle.
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 Obstacle. Like, vamos. Yalla, yalla, yalla. Okay. This room that y'all are privy to is the best preserved second temple room in Israel. Okay? It goes back 2,000 years. Okay? Once upon a time, we believe this was a giant lobby. Okay?
Giant?
A big, now this doesn't seem so giant. Now, that room that we were
lobby.
in was this wall wasn't here. Okay? That room and this room and this room are all one big lobby. Okay? Remember, with the water fountain in the middle. Why do you need a giant lobby? You don't. But you're King Herod and you're a show off. And you like to have people say, wow. So, probably people did. And look, even 2,000 years later, people did it like that. I'm going to show you in a little bit a picture of what it looks like. This one doesn't have it, but I'll show you a picture pretty soon of our guests. But you still see these columns. I don't know why they let me touch them, but they're 2,000 years old. Okay, they're original 2,000 year old. They were built for aesthetic purposes, just to make the place look fancy. Obviously, the roof looked differently. The roof, now it holds up the Muslim quarter, but it was a square roof. And we actually, in this little hole over there, found stones. They just took them away, now they're in the Israel Museum, but they're dated to about 2,000 years ago. They seem to have been catapulted by the Romans when they were trying to destroy this place and the entire environment. Pretty wild and crazy. Actually, General Titus, Josephus recounts, stood on the western wall, screamed that the Jews stopped fighting, and the Jews in the building called the Zistos, or the gymnasium, said never. a fight to the death. This room might have been the Zistos. We don't know, but it's the closest big building right next to the Western Wall, where we're going pretty soon. So it makes sense that this would have been that place. Wild and crazy. What else? You see that corner over there? That is the spot that Charles Warren, in 1867, a British archaeologist, digs in and discovers this room and discovers the Western Wall tunnels. He actually wanted to dig on the Temple Mount. He was sent here by Queen Victoria to find the lost Ark. He never found it. The church wouldn't let him dig there. So instead he digs here and voila, he discovers this and the original city of David. So he got me my job. Appreciate that, Mr. Charlie. And this is some of his sketches. Not original, it's photocopies. But I'll show you a few things of his excavations. First off, check out all these cool jugs that he found in this room. A beautiful map, which archaeologists still use to this day. And anybody guess what these guys are? Lamps. Very good. These are candles. These are lamps that were placed. You can still see the lamp plate spots because electricity was not as good back then. So they used these candles and all these jugs. Pretty cool. Wild and crazy. This is like looking for one thing in particular. All right, if I find it, I find it. Not to worry. That's a little bit about Charlie. Charlie was a devout Christian, by the way. Made his workers say psalms. You see this? This, you can actually see it in the corner. See that thing over there?
Oh yeah.
That's the special column that we found. Pretty cool. In the corner, there's another washing basin. It seems like they would immerse their hands, the priest, and it's not like for little babies or anything like that. It's immerse your hands, and then you're pure, and you can eat certain types of food. So, what else? That's all from 2,000 years ago. That column is from the same period as in the Cardo, the Byzantine era. We don't know what this room was used for back then. That iron thing is placed here in the 70s because Golda Meir comes to check it out in the 70s, and they thought it was going to fall on our head. So we call it Golda's irons, and it protects us. And there would have been doorways, but you can't see it because there's construction, unfortunately. But there's giant doorways, which are still here today, where we'd exit on our way to the Western Wall. Because they're fixing stuff up, we're not going to go to the next spot, ritual bath, etc. We're going to go up, get some extra exercise. I'm going to lead the way and go around. See some cool stuff on the way. Okay, so we'll get some bonus stuff. Yes, question?
I've got the million-dollar question.
Oh, wow.
You're in the Purim spirit, eh?
Definitely. I was getting in the Purim.
Did you guys find the Ark?
Not yet. Indiana Jones is still looking for it. Rabbi Getz, there's a rabbi in the 70s. Where's the Ark? Rabbi Getz is looking for it in the 70s, and he gets caught. He never found it. There's an ancient tradition of Maimonides mentioned in the Mishnah that it's underground somewhere in the old city, somewhere in the Temple Mount area.
But everybody believes that it is in this underneath the Temple Mount.
It's in the area of the Temple Mount.
Thank you for that.
According to Jewish tradition.
Yes, okay. Because
where exactly?
the Temple Institute says they know where it is. They're not just going to go there and get it, but they know where it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know. I like the Temple Institute, but I have to schmooze with them later. I have to ask them where it is and make some.
No, they didn't say anything to us. They just said we know.
They didn't reveal the secrets. Yeah, no, there's an idea that when the Messiah comes, then we're going this way. Here's the picture I wanted to show you. No, it's it. Is it? Archaeological. All right. אני יכול ללכת ישר היום? כן, אני יודע. אין בעיה.
This is all Herodian stones.
So not everything is Herodian stone. These are Muslims took ancient stones and used it for their building. Some of them are 2,000-year-old stones.
But we're gonna see that those big 300.
We're gonna see it right now.
300. What's it? 300,000 tons.
300 to 570 tons, which is 1.5 million.
What?
Yeah, so very big stone. This is new. They just fixed it up. That's a women's section. Anybody wants to pray here, if you want to leave, you let women come in. And that's the synagogue we're going to end our adventure with. We'll say, wait a second, let everybody catch up. I'm too fast.
Is this where the Sanhedrin also will? The Sanhedrin.
It's built like a Sanhedrin, but will the Sanhedrin actually use it when the Messiah comes? I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Who knows? But it's built in the vibe of the
Sanhedrin.
temple.
Yeah.
That's why it's got the light theme, and I'll talk about it when we get to the synagogue. These are mezuzot, of course. Every Jewish home has mezuzot. If they're straight, that means they're from someone of Sephardi, from Spanish tradition. This was donated by a Spanish guy, so
Whoa.
it has the Shema Yisrael, the love of God, written in each mezuzah scroll.
Whoa.
And that's the Western Wall today. Now we're going underground to see the Western Wall 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, that guy's.
That guy. We're actually going to curve left before we go back there. We're going to go underground first.
But we are going to do. So sit there just for a moment.
Here's our move. In 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thanks.
That's what we're doing. I mean, 2 is not even really part of the tour. Kind of squeezing it in for you guys because there's.
Thank you so much.
That,
We really appreciate. Wow. Come on, are you serious?
Yeah, pretty good. Now check. I'm gonna point this out later to everybody. But check out those stairs.
Yeah.
Notice how they haven't finished.
Yes,
building the
yes.
stairs yet. It's in progress. 2,000 years. They're still building the stairs. So
What?
This is a wow.
This is Adrian Stones. I know it. I can. Yes.
How's South Africa these days? What's it like? It's good, bad?
Bad.
Bad. You don't like it very much. There are a lot of crazy people there, eh?
The government is crazy.
Government's pretty nuts.
And I'll say it on camera. The ANC is corrupt and stupid.
Hey. Yeah, that's what it seems like from our perspective. But what do we know? Whew. This is actually my hat, my favorite hat. I got it in the army. Someone knitted it for me. It's pretty cool. These nice women who gave furry hats. I just got back from reserves about a month ago.
Did
So
you?
it's great to be not in freezing cold Hebron area during Purim. Be with my family.
Did you fight in Gaza?
No, I was in the Hebron, in the Hebron Hills area, which is a little bit less. It's still actionful, but not as crazy.
Oh, you did get action.
There's arrests every night. There's a lot of arrests of terrorists and stuff like that, and also there's unfortunately sometimes infiltration and terrorist attempts. So you don't hear it on the news, unfortunately. It doesn't make the news, but there's on a daily level there's attempts for
But
terrorists.
did soldiers lose their lives now in Hebron?
Yeah, all throughout Israel, but
Sorry.
even a week ago, in my particular unit, thank God nobody died. We actually 4 times almost tried to kill us, and they missed, and we hit. So
What?
Mazel tov. It was a lot of Purim miracles.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. So thank God our unit came back whole and complete. Thank God.
Thank God for that.
So we're about, you see these, it's pretty easy. The roof is the floor. That's the floor of the Western Wall. Okay? So we're like 10, 15 feet under the Western Wall of today. And just 6 years ago, they put these beautiful pillars up to hold up the Western Wall of today. Okay, so you can see what the Western Wall looked like 2,000 years ago. Okay? This is the same 2,000-year-old stones that King Herod's people put in here. Okay? And they're very pure and pristine here. because again, no one's touched them for the last 700 years. They've got the frames, okay? Ever see these frames? They've got the limestones. That's what a Jerusalem stone is. They're placed one on top of the other, 1 centimeter more inward than the next. They're very big. They go in a long way, very heavy. We're going to see in the next room the heaviest ones. A lot of precision. And how do you know they're for sure Western Wall stones? Better than carbon dating, better than pottery analysis. You got the prayer notes, right? So it must be Western Wall. But that's a joke. That's not actually how we know the Western Wall. But you do see the prayer notes, which means that nice people like you said, hey, this is my prayers to get some more airtime, some more wall time here, so they put them here. Great idea. Smart people. So again, where we're looking at is eye level, i.e. ground level, 2,000 years ago, where our feet are. Now, even 2,000 years ago, they had to dig really, really, really deep in order for the wall to last. So what you see from your vantage point, and in the corner you get the best vantage point, you see the bottom, how low the foundations of the Western Wall go. Got it? The custom of putting prayer notes in the wall is mentioned 300 years ago by a great sage. And the idea is that when you want to get to a holy place, you want to put your thoughts down on paper. Makes the prayers a little bit more real.
So this is eye level.
This is eye level, again, 2,000 years ago, when our ancestors are walking down the Western Wall. And what were they doing back then? They probably weren't praying too much. They were on their way. It was a marketplace. It was Wall Street. They were praying for a good deal. Okay? But they're walking on their way to the Temple Mount. That's my joke. Yes, come back. Usually my wife doesn't laugh at my jokes, so it's good. Perfect. It's good to laugh. Yeah.
Can we put our prayer request?
Yes. While I'm talking, forget about what I'm saying. I just talk, right? Put them in. Seriously though, you can put them here. You can put them in. It's a good spot. That square in the wall, archaeologists have identified to actually have been a storefront. In other words, someone's putting their wares. Maybe they got little doves.
Oh yeah, there's 4 or 5 of them.
Could have been dates. Could have been T-shirts. I survived the Temple Mount. We haven't yet found evidence for my theory. But the point is, someone's selling something here on Wall Street. That's pretty amazing. Next to that, in the middle, you see that little hole, the road on the bottom?
Yeah.
That is an ancient water passageway. It's a sewage system, okay? From 2,300 years ago, the drainage system of the Hasmoneans. Now, Josephus recounts how Jews used to hide in these drainage systems as they tried to escape the wrath of the Romans. And unfortunately, recently we found remnants of Jewish life from 2,000 years ago as they tried to hide from the Romans. Pretty scary. Next to that, they found a weight about 2,500 years old, a little rock, but it was used as a shekel. It has 2 shekels nicks on it, and that's what they used to use back in the olden days. And my highlight of this room is this giant circle thing that we just chanced upon. Can anybody guess what this giant circle thing used to be? You got a point just for trying. Can't lose. Another ritual guy. But actually, see, when they first found it, they thought they had chanced upon the Sanhedrin, the high court, like my good man said we're looking for. But bad news, guys, it's not the high court. Sorry. We knew that there was a high court around here at that time period. There's a bunch of issues. First of all, its back would have been towards the temple. And the Jews weren't to build a permanent structure in their back, or the temple would have been considered disrespectful. Second of all, more importantly, all of the pottery that they found, oftentimes we date things through pottery, which can be dated to a specific time period, or coins, and we can find it in a specific time period. Okay? It was all dated to 52 years after the construction of the temple.
Hoe onder.
Yeah. So
Dis die begin van die Western Wall.
None of that.
Hulle loop
We're
al die
not
pad
even in
op.
Jerusalem anymore, my friends. We're in Aelia Capitolina, the Roman city. Okay? And this is an amphitheater. loved amphitheaters. And so some guy would be standing on the stage over there, and then he'd be doing a Roman TED Talk. Okay? He's doing a poetry slam. And everybody would be sitting here, clapping.
Shops.
It sounds really sweet. But
Shops.
what's interesting is
Winkels.
they never finished
Winkels.
building this amphitheater. It worked in progress. Okay? There's steps over there. And you guys can see, everyone will be able to see soon, there's another staircase right over there. And it's still being built, the staircase. There's still rock in it. They're chiseling away the rock. In other words, they never finished it. Why did they finish building it? Maybe because remember there was
Kyk
that
hoe diep
rebellion in 132
loop
which was rebellion
die
against
Western
Roman.
Wall. Dis die Western
And they
Wall.
saw another amphitheater
Hulle
being
staan daar
built,
bo net op 'n
doing
klein
really
gedeelte
well
in
back
bed.
towards the temple.
Maar hierdie is die
They probably been
Western
pretty angry.
Western
But another
Wall.
thing which we found, on the bottom, they took the stones from the floor of the western wall and they used it to build their amphitheater. How do you think the Jews felt about that? They didn't like that. So this could have been one of the many triggers which launched the Bar Kokhba rebellion, which is why they never finished the amphitheater. But unfortunately for the Jews, they lost and got kicked out of Jerusalem for the next 500 years. So, anyways, a heck of a lot of drama, a lot of history that we just unearthed about 5 years ago. It's all new. And like I said, this is the same western wall that you see upstairs. Same
Look at the
holiness.
water. Kyk die water wat daar
If
uitkom.
you want to say a prayer, this is a great spot. Throw in an extra prayer, write a little extra prayer before we head to our next stop. Are there any questions?
Yes, there's water coming that day west.
Right, so there is still water today coming from drainage issues, from the drainage problems in the Muslim quarter that drips its way down.
Is it not because of there's water underneath the?
So no, this archaeologists identified to actually be water from the rain that drips all its way down. You might have been asking yourself, I forgot to address this, where did all the water come from 2,000 years ago? Remember we saw that ritual bath? And we said that the Great Bridge was actually an amphitheater, an aqueduct. Where's the water coming from?
Solomon's pools.
Very good. Not bad. Usually only archaeologists know that one. So Solomon's pools, squares built in the ground by Bethlehem and by Ephraim, which you can still see to this day, or you can look on Google Images, pictures. So they built 2,300 years ago these giant squares. The rain comes there, and the aqueduct system goes 21 kilometers, 61 miles, winds its ways around the hills of Jerusalem until it hits the Great Bridge, which goes to the Temple Mount. Okay? Some of that water is taken off for the ritual bath we saw. So a lot of genius water technology for the Israelis, even 2,300 years ago, and that water system was in existence until 1917, 2,200 years.
There's some more construction going on behind here. Keith!
No, this is just for this tour. And then in the synagogue that we're going to conclude it, our tour with in a little bit, sometime, Shabbat, Saturday morning.
Sorry.
No, this is just for this tour. It's actually pretty quiet now. The tourism is low, but in the normal time, it's non-stop. It's the most biggest tour site in all of Israel. So.
Ah, sure.
Sometimes I do 4 tours a day, but thank God not today because I got no voice. I sang too much on Shabbos, and I have to sing tomorrow tonight. It's Purim. Yeah, I gotta get my voice. We need a Purim miracle to get my voice back.
So the Western Wall that we see outside is like 1%.
No, it's more than 1%. It's actually 11%.
11%.
I'll show you in the model. You'll be able to see exactly how big the Western Wall is.
Oh, sorry.
This is the best site because you actually can sit.
Yes, we can sit for a couple of.
That's nice. So we'll take advantage.
That's the David.
That's Robinson's Arch.
That's Robinson's.
Right. That's
Arch.
the entranceway to the Western Wall 2,000 years ago.
And
that
this
was
is the
only
Wilson's Arch.
now discovered. Right. That's Wilson's Arch, which we just walked under.
That's the Hilda Gates.
Right. Exactly. Hulda Gates is what you're passing. Right.
That's the gates of mercy. That side.
Right. Shar Harachamim. Exactly. You got it. You nailed it.
So I can become.
You can be a
now-
tour guide. I give you smicha. I give you, rabbis need smicha. You need
A blessing.
a blessing. You put their hands on their
No,
head,
why don't you do it? Why don't you give me a blessing?
I give you a blessing. You should live and be happy and be prosperous and have a very, very wonderful life.
Thank you. God bless you.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, guys, come sit down, and then we'll take a 360. I'll let everybody take pictures and stuff, but it will start sitting. First, I wanted to just show. I want to show you a picture too. Okay, so this is what we did today. Again, we went underground and we saw all the underground layers going to the western wall. That's the western wall of today, and then we went underground. Let me show you what we actually want to do eventually. We want to dig out the entire complex under the plaza that you walk on top of today and dig it all out just like you saw over there so we can see the underground levels. Now it'll take a while, 5, 10, 20 years, I don't know. But eventually, that's the plan. It's pretty cool. Oh, I also want to show you that coin that we discovered. One of these is actually a first temple coin, which is pretty cool. And one of them is cool because of the name that we found on it. This is from the first temple. Some guy with a slingshot. That's kind of cool. His name's Chagav, which is like an animal. We're not sure what that means in English. But
Just show this way.
this, you might have seen these before. They're quite famous. But this, we found this in the Western Wall area. It says in ancient Hebrew hieroglyphic, Netanyahu ben Yeash. Okay, it's a chotem, which you're going to learn more about. It's a stamp, okay, from 1700 years ago that has the name Netanyahu on it. So we found Bibi under Western Wall.
Just one moment so we can also see this.
Sorry. Yeah, this is a stamp which has Bibi's name on it from 17.
So he must be honored.
He did. He took the stamp and he showed it to President Obama. He said, "Look, we've been here for a long time."
But serious, on a serious note, do you?
Serious. He
But do
actually
you,
did that.
no, but on a serious note, do you think there's some prophetic significance to that?
I don't know. I'm just a tour guide. I'm not a prophet. But I think it's there.
No, I know. I mean, what I mean is like cycles, stuff that happened, that's happening again.
It's repeating history.
Yes.
itself.
Interesting. It could be. It could be. What I know for sure in terms of, you want to ask me about prophecies, the fact that the Jewish people are back in the land.
That's right. Yes.
After 2,000 years, the only nation in world history that got scattered throughout the world and came back exactly as Deuteronomy said, it can be nothing but a prophecy.
Yes.
And the fact that we speak Hebrew now fluently, it's also unbelievable. And I could go on and on and on. There's literally dozens of prophecies that are being fulfilled in front of our eyes. Just look at the land of Israel blossoming. So yeah, there's no shortage. The fact that I can go celebrate Purim in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem after 2,000 years, and thanks for reminding me. It's such a blessing, and so happy that you guys can experience that with us. So I do, yes. I actually started doing these tours in Hebrew for the first time last week. So, with a big accent, but still. They didn't throw me off the stage, so I survived. Actually, that was a blessing of the Army. In the Army, obviously we serve in Hebrew, so I started giving classes in Hebrew in Torah. And then once I gave classes in Hebrew, I said, hey, maybe I could do tours in Hebrew too. Plus, there's no tourism now, so I kind of need to pay my rent. So I said, I have no choice. I got to do what I got to do. So after 18 years of waiting, I finally started doing tours in Hebrew. Anywho's, okay. So this is not the temple. Sorry, guys, but it's a model of the temple. It's pretty good. Okay? And we are standing, okay, under the bridge. Okay? That's the giant lobby. More ritual bad. That was the Western Wall. We just went under the Wilson's Arch, and we're standing right there. Okay, remember these columns that we saw before?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that used to be here. It was destroyed 2,000 years ago. Only place now you can see columns like that is by Me'arat HaMachpelah, by the cave of the ancestors in Hebron. Okay, the other tour goes all the way down, all the way underground till Antonia's Fortress, till Strution Pool. Okay, I think right now, because of Ramadan, etc., it's not open. So this tour we loop around. Okay, we're right around here. You asked me about getting the lost ark. In the 70s, there was a Rabbi Getz, the rabbi of the Western Wall, who secretly tried to dig underground to find the lost ark and all sorts of vessels. He got caught by the Arabs around there and almost got killed. So no more digging, going underground, as far as I know. And they don't tell me everything. Anyways, this is the Jewish quarter of today, okay? Right outside the Western Wall. You're like in already the new city. You know, you meet Moshe, Rehavia, where I live, Nachlot. You guys are already in like Tel Aviv, Tzfat, all the way up north, okay? This is the Western Wall. This is the Robinson's Arch, which was recently dug out. You can see it by the City of David. Maybe you'll walk past it.
Yes, we're going
a
there.
Giant walkway, exactly, on the way up to the Temple Mount. Hulda Gate, okay, leading from the City of David. So this is the original Jerusalem down here. And then again, the city joined together. Okay? Now I'll show you the Western Wall. That's the Western Wall of today. Okay? 1/11 of the length, 1/3 of the height of the original Western Wall, what we see today. Again, what made it more significant than the others is simply history. That was the one that people knew about, and so that was the one that people prayed by. And of course, the ancient tradition, which we'll talk about, that God's presence can be felt extra strong on the Western Wall. While this is happening, and it's going to show you what it looks like nowadays, a quick tour of the Temple Mount. Solomon's Stables, which confusingly was not added by Solomon. It was added by Herod, and got named that by the Crusaders. This is an additional area that he built. Okay, the mountains below, he built this giant platform. That's why it's on a curve, so that thousands more people could be on the Temple Mount area. So this is the area which some Orthodox Jews will walk on because it doesn't have the holiness of the inner chambers, which the Torah, the Bible says, is only for the high priest. Okay, like we said, more entranceways, mercy gates, etc. Levites singing. In there, the sacrifices, okay? Once you go inside the holy, you have the candelabra, the shulchan, the table, the incense altar, and the inners, that's the Holy of Holies, where the world began on Mount Moriah. Only once a year is the high priest allowed to go there on Yom Kippur. When he comes out, everybody sings and dances because the sins of the nation have been forgiven. Now, obviously, we don't have a temple for the last 2,000 years, but the Western Wall was the closest that Jews could get. Now, it's amazing that the whole world is sharing in that treasure. This is today. Now, I said we dug under the Muslim quarter because the Muslim quarter was placed here again in the 13th century. It wasn't always called the Muslim quarter, it was called the mixed quarter, Jews, Christians, Muslims. But then in the 30s, the Jews and many Christians got chased out because of the terrorist stuff that was happening in the 30s, the Arab riots. And so now it's called the Muslim quarters. Although there are a few Jews who started moving back in what they call the old Jewish quarter. But anyway, everyone else calls it the Muslim quarter. There's probably like 100 Jews, I don't know, maybe a little bit more, who live there. And again, that's where we are, right underground over there. Any questions? That's a nice lady. More importantly, that's a wall. That wall, you're only seeing a piece of it, okay? It keeps stretching. It's the highlight of the other tour, which is why I'm not supposed to talk about it too much. But it's 44 feet. It weighs between 370 tons, which modern day cranes cannot lift such an enormous stone. And yet 2,000 years ago, our ancestors are lifting, cutting from far away, likely from hundreds of meters away, to put a 1,000,000-pound stone in the middle of the Western Wall. Now, what you're wondering is, how do they do that? The answer is, we don't know. Okay? There's some things we don't know. Even tour guides don't know something. There's theories, but there's no consensus how they did it. Apparently they were smarter than we give them credit for 2,000 years ago. But I think more importantly, in the corner, there's black. That was chiseled out and placed in later. Okay? So in other words, the Romans tried to knock down and burn down the entire Western Wall. They destroyed most of it. Why didn't they knock down those stones? Because they're huge. So probably those tired Romans are like, good enough. We got 95%. Head to Masada. We'll destroy some stuff over there. We'll call it a day. So it could be the bigness of the Western Wall is why it's still here today. In other words, the hard work of those ancient builders. In other words, all in all, it's not just another brick in the wall. Every stone came with a lot of love. When you put love into anything in land.
Okay, hy mag ons nie hier toe vat nie. Kyk hierdie groot stene. 300,000 ton. Hierdie is een steen. Hierdie is een steen. Hier bid nou 'n vrou. Van daai kant af. Tot daai kant toe. Nou by. Ek kan nie eers, kyk hierso. Kyk hierdie stene. 300,000 tons het hy nou net gesien. Ek vat aan die historie. Die was later aangebring gewees. Ja, mense, daai is 'n getuienis, daai groot stene. Kyk al hierdie stene. En hier gaan ons in die Joodse Sanhedrin. Hy sê hy is gebou volgens sy Joodse Sanhedrin. Maar hulle weet nie wat dit gaan gebruik word nie.
In all of the old city, okay, it's an active synagogue, which means we pray here on Shabbat. Saturday morning at 8:15 and on Friday night. Shabbat, and Jews pray 3 times a day, but on Shabbat it's a little longer, a little more energy, a little bit more singing. On Shabbat, the rest of the week, unfortunately, us SC tour guides are using this place. Okay? It's the newest, and it's next to the oldest synagogue, because that's the Western Wall. Okay? So new and old, that's one of the themes of Jerusalem. You got this new plexiglass protecting you from the drainage issues, and you got this 700-year-old roof right on top of it, the Muslim high school right on top of our heads. And it's a beautiful synagogue. It has a Sanhedrin theme. It's got a theme of the temple. You have to remember, after the temple is destroyed, the Jewish people are like, now what? Remember, their whole life is centered around the temple, and the rabbis came up with this idea called synagogue. Okay, way before church or mosque or any of that, where it's like a mini temple. That was the concept. Where it's like the energy. So this synagogue, you see that very clearly. You've got the Sanhedrin.
Hier is die Joodse Sanhedrin.
This is where the prayer leader stands. Okay? And menorah, just like in the temple, bringing the spiritual energy. And the ark. Okay? Not the 10 Commandments, but the Torah, which we read here on Shabbat. And the fire on top of it can symbolize a lot of things. The burning bush, or God's presence in our souls. Lots of different symbolic messages. And what's special about this particular synagogue is location. This is the closest synagogue in the universe to the Holy of Holies. Okay, the Western Wall is very close, but our synagogue is as close as you can get to the Holy of Holies. Again, the Holy of Holies is on the other side, the Dome of the Rock, but according to Orthodox and Jewish law, we don't go to that area. That's only for the high priest. We're very close, right? As close as we can get, which means we have the best prayer energy, this most spiritual place in like the whole world. Amazing. Definitely up there. So, before this tour guide starts explaining the wall, why don't we take 30 seconds right now? If you want, you can close your eyes. And here's your opportunity to say a prayer before I finish up. A lot to pray for right now with this war.